Today on Independent Wrestling Profiles, we're talking with Kickstart Jake Constant. I have seen you perform, and you are incredibly talented. And what I can really see out of you is a respect and a passion for the industry. So take me back to the beginning. When did you first start to develop that love for wrestling?
So I'll tell you that wrestling has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I know like my family's at the very least, they're all familiar with wrestling. My mom growing up, she was a big wrestling fan. She was a big Hulk Hogan fan. But it was really my brothers, my two older brothers, who were like really, really passionate about wrestling. Um, so wrestling was always on in my house. Whether or not I was watching or whether or not I actually cared, that kind of varied from time to time. But wrestling was always on and it was always present. And I knew of it. Um, but they were like the big fans. They were always watching it. And as they got older, their toys became my toys, and I was playing with all these wrestlers and stuff like that. And then I kind of got a little more interested in it. And so, there pretty much every night a show was on. There was a fight between my mom and my brother on what was going to be on the TV that night, whether it was going to be the wrestling show or whether it was going to be the nightly news. Um, my mom won a lot of those battles, but it was on enough for me to know what it was. And I remember like as I got older, I kind of got a little more interested in it. I kind of cared a little bit more. I remember, I think it was like the Shield, the faction. I was a big fan of the Shield. I really liked those guys. I thought those guys were just the coolest. I remember going to Walmart to get their action figures and stuff like that. I was absolutely heartbroken when they broke up. But like I would say that time I was just like familiar with wrestling. Like I just knew of it. It was kind of there. But I can kind of pinpoint when it kind of clicked for me, I guess, when I fell in love with wrestling, so to say. I think it was probably WrestleMania 31. My brother was really into it and he was really excited for WrestleMania. And I don't know like if I really cared all that much, but it was on a Sunday, like a school night. This is an event that goes past my bedtime, so I was interested. Um, and so, I remember begging my mom to let me stay up past my bedtime and watch WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. I didn't really know what WrestleMania was, but like I knew it was wrestling. I knew it was cool, and I knew it was past my bedtime. So I got the okay, and to be honest with you, I don't remember a lot about the show. So that tells me that I didn't pay attention a whole lot, but
Mhm.
I got to stay up past my bedtime. I got to spend time with my brother, and I got to watch something that I did think was really cool. And I got to see like wrestlers that I knew about from, kind of watching the shows before. But I think when it really clicked for me, when I really sat there and I was like, this is awesome, is the main event. It was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I remember that was obviously past my bedtime. I was getting tired. I was thinking, okay, like let's wrap this up. I'm ready to go to bed, go to school in the morning. And I think I was probably cheering for Brock Lesnar or something. I was like, just finish this match, right? And then Seth Rollins comes out and he cashes in and wins and he steals the WWE championship in the main event of WrestleMania. And like everybody in the crowd's going crazy. My brother next to me is losing his mind. And I'm just like, this is awesome. Like this is crazy. Like that was my moment where I was like, wow, like wrestling is more than like dudes in their underwear coming out and slamming each other, right? Like that was like a story. That was like a crazy moment. That was like awesome to me at least.
So you liked the Shield, but would you say that the thing that got you more interested was the dynamic, like the crowd erupting, the storytelling that was taking place, like that kind of larger than life moment, that cash in that you're referring to? Like, yes, the wrestlers are definitely a factor, but they were just part of this phenomenal moment, we'll say, that happened. Is that more what got into you, like that, we'll say, even almost like adrenaline rush of that moment?
100%. Like, yeah, like I've watched like before then I was watching wrestling with my brother and stuff and it was cool and like I was kind of into it, kind of not. Like I said, it kind of varied from time to time how much I cared about it. But yeah, like just this crazy thing happening, my brother's reaction, like, oh my God, this has never happened before. What's going on? The crowd going crazy. Like that was really what hit me, and like everybody's reaction. And then that kind of became my own reaction. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like this is awesome. Like this is wrestling.
Yeah, yeah. I still remember that night, and I feel so bad that the RKO that Seth took off of the curb stomp
Yeah.
almost gets forgotten because
Yeah.
he had one amazing moment and then upped it with the cash in, and nobody talks about that first one anymore.
That's so true, actually. Yeah.
So you grew up with brothers that were wrestling fans, and I have
Yes.
to ask because I talked to the Falcon brothers about this, and I even shared some of my stories. That "don't try this at home" thing never really worked. Did you ever remember a time where you were maybe the victim of some testing of moves from your siblings?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think so. I was the youngest, and my mom was very, very protective of me. And like I think like my brothers all kind of knew like if they laid a hand on me, like they were in big trouble. Like so like, I remember when I was little, like I like wrestling would be on or whatever, and I'd like jump on top of my brother and just start punching him, and like he wouldn't do anything about it because he couldn't do anything about it. Like
Oh,
those are my memories.
so the little brother was the one that was trying the moves out on his bigger
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
That's cool. So you check out WrestleMania 31. You're starting
Yes.
to now get like a lot more into it. Is it like a hit the ground running thing from that moment on? Or are you watching whenever you can? Are you buying more of the action figures? Like it wasn't really as much of a slow ramp up. At that point, you're fully invested.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I remember after WrestleMania, I remember like going to Walmart or whatever, getting a bunch more action figures. I remember watching the weekly shows religiously for a long time after that. And I do remember, like before school in the mornings, I would watch like SpongeBob, Dragon Ball, Fairly Odd Parents, something like that. But I remember they would do NXT reruns in the mornings before, like, right before I go to school. And so I would start watching those, and I would watch like what I believe is like prime NXT, like Kevin Owens and guys like that just going
The black
crazy.
and gold.
Yeah, black and gold NXT. I remember watching that in the morning before school and like just having so much adrenaline, and then having to like calm down and go to my elementary school.
It might be a hot take, but I think that peak era of black and gold was at the time the best product that WWE was coming out with.
Absolutely.
It was
I
just
agree with
so
that. Yeah.
good. So when is it during this journey that it starts to kind of spark in the back of your mind that, hey, I just starting to like this, but maybe this is something that I could see myself doing in the future?
I would say that probably soon after, like I really like fell in love with it, like after that WrestleMania, after I started watching the weekly shows, after I started watching all the pay-per-views and stuff like that. I remember like thinking like this is really cool. I would love to do something like this. And it kind of became an obsession for a long time. Like I want to be a wrestler. That's like all I want in the world. I remember, I kind of had my dream job, and then I had the dream job that I told other people. So I wanted to be a wrestler, but I remember for a long time I would like tell my parents and tell my friends that I wanted to be an actor because, kind of same thing, but I felt like it was maybe a little less embarrassing for me because, you know, I wasn't sure if I actually could become a wrestler. I didn't really know what that entailed at the time. But it was definitely something that was there. It was very present for, I would say, a very large portion of my childhood. And I remember like before I even really knew what like indie shows were and stuff like that, I remember kind of like fantasizing having a wrestling show in the gym of my elementary school. And obviously I was like the main event and the world champion and all that stuff.
Well,
But
yeah, naturally.
I remember just thinking that would be the coolest thing ever.
So, talk to me about where you were in life when you decided to actually start pursuing this, because there had to have been almost like a trigger event where you go from, fantasizing about coming out to, a crowd with the belt and being the champ, and actually going and looking up school and signing up for it and taking that vital first step to the journey. Like, what was it that kind of pushed you in that direction?
Um, Well, like I said, like throughout my childhood, I always wanted to do it. And then I think when I got like a little bit older, I kind of pushed that to the side and just altogether, I kind of stopped watching wrestling and like it kind of just, we kind of parted ways for I would say a few years. And then like, I want to say it was when Edge returned, in the Royal Rumble, where it was like, I love wrestling again. Like that just brought me right back into it. And so then, once again, I was watching the shows religiously. I was watching all the pay-per-views. And then what came back was kind of that desire to be a wrestler. I was like this would be really cool. I would love to do this. But once again, like I didn't think it was realistic. I didn't think I had what it took to be a wrestler. I didn't think I could do that. So for like a while, I would say that I kind of just like forgot about it, put it on the back burner because I didn't even know how to get started. So I was like, there's no point. But where it really started, I think it was probably mid 2023, where like just out of curiosity, I was watching these like videos on YouTube how to become a professional wrestler because I'm assuming I think around that time a show came to Toronto or something and I went to the show and once again like that passion was just relit and I was like this is the greatest thing ever. Um, so I was like just watching these videos, looking up like how to become a professional wrestler. I was kind of hoping that with like my mattress on my bed I could learn how to be a wrestler, but obviously that wasn't the case. Um, and yeah, like the videos said like you got to find a school, you got to find a wrestling school, and so I started looking for wrestling schools, and sure enough, there was one in Kitchener, my city, off the rope studio. So I was gonna like reach out to them. I was gonna be like, "Hey, I want to try this out." And I think I like typed up an email or something, and then I was like, "No," and I deleted it, and I was like, "Nope, not happening. I don't have what it takes to be a wrestler. It's not happening." And so I pushed that aside. I would say for like 6 months. I would say probably yeah, because in 2024, like right after New Year's, it kind of popped into my head again. I remember I was thinking about it. I remember I was walking around playing Pokemon Go and I was just kind of thinking about, I was 16 at the time. I was just kind of thinking, what am I going to do in the next however long? And I was thinking, like, I feel like I was like, now's the time to jump into something. And I was like, if I don't become a wrestler, or if I don't at least try, later down the line, I'll be disappointed. And I
Mhm.
thought, that was all that younger me wanted to do. And so I was kind of thinking, like, I should make younger me proud, and then I should make older me, not disappointed in myself. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try this out. So then, I went back looking at the schools and I was like, okay, off the rope studio. I sent an email. I remember typing out an email, being absolutely terrified, sent it. And then we like planned for a time for me to come, try it out. And, the date was set and then I changed my mind. I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Oh, come on.
um, and then I think it was like one of my brothers that was like a huge part of like introducing me to wrestling. That was like you got to go try it at the very least. Like you can go, you can try it, and then you can say you tried it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And so somehow he talked me into doing it. And I remember going to the school the night before to kind of like scope out the area because I needed to know exactly where I was going because I was absolutely terrified. Um, and then the day came, and I remember my brother drove me there, and I get into his car, and I sit down, and he's about to start the car, and I just open the door, get out. No, not going, not happening. And somehow he convinced me to get back in the car and go. And so the whole time we're driving there, I'm like, turn around. I'm not going. It's not happening. I don't have what it takes to be a wrestler. I can't do this. I'm too scared. Excuses, excuses, excuses. It's not happening. And he like refused to listen to me and he took me there and he's like, you're going. And like he even like walked in with me and made sure that, I got in there. And so I was absolutely terrified. But I will say like obviously Jeff and Vanessa at Off the Ropes and like everybody there, they're just great. And I had an amazing first experience. And you know, I was talking about like times that like passion was kind of relit, and that experience just relit it times 10. Like I was in love with wrestling, but I wasn't in love with being a wrestler, if that makes sense. And that made me fall in love with being a wrestler.
That's amazing. And I do want to get back to the training, but I want to ask, I hear so much self doubt, so much just lack of confidence. But
Mhm.
when I see you performing today, you look like you own the ring. You look like you own the venue, not in an egotistical way, but like you embrace it, you live in it. Is that self doubt maybe kind of gone away a little bit, or is that just the persona and the adrenaline of the wrestling that takes over?
Honestly, I wouldn't say that the self doubt and stuff like that is gone. I would say that it's just that I've gotten better at becoming a character. I think
Mhm.
that would.
Well, I mean, if it matters at all, like you should not be doubting yourself because from what I've seen, you have a phenomenal future ahead of you. And without naming names, I've spoken to people about you as well. And I never hear anything but the most positive things.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do want to ask, like getting into wrestling, you were telling people you wanted to be an actor.
Yep.
Were you doing any sort of drama classes? Were you doing any sort of acting? Or were you playing any sports? Like, did you bring any sort of acting or athleticism to the training with you when you started?
I actually did do some acting. I remember like for a while I actually wanted to be a wrestler, but I told people I wanted to be an actor. And so I got in and I did like two or three like theater performances, and that was about it. I didn't do like a whole lot. But sports were a big part of my life, like for as long as I can remember. I played hockey since a young age. I played baseball, I played volleyball, I played soccer and stuff like that. And that kind of goes with like the phases. Like I would be in and out of phases. Like I'd like wrestling or I'd not. But it's the same with sports. Like I played hockey for a while and then I just stopped, and then I played baseball for a while and then I just stopped, and I played soccer a little bit when I was younger and stopped. And then I started playing volleyball like in high school, and that was like a huge thing, and that took over my life like wrestling did a few times. And like I remember that's kind of when I forgot about wrestling. Like my dream was to go play in the Olympics on the volleyball team for Canada. Um, so yeah, like I kind of had an athletic background, but I wouldn't say anything compares to like the wrestling training. Like it's a completely different ballpark.
So tell me a little bit about that because I played sports growing up, and you have very particular routines for working out certain
Yeah.
parts of the body that are specific to the sport, and also just kind of getting into the mentality of the discipline. But how did that differ when you got into the actual wrestling training? Was there a big adjustment? Was it maybe not what you were expecting, but not in a bad way, just different?
Totally. And it was definitely not what I was expecting, but not in a bad way, I wouldn't say by any means. I think I went in thinking that I knew more than I did. I think a lot of people do that, but I went in like I'd watched wrestling my whole life. I had played all these sports. I was like, I'm gonna be maybe I could be like a crazy athlete. I might be wrestling like next month. Um, not true. Yeah, I thought I knew how to do all this stuff, and I didn't. And like it's crazy training, and like there's a lot to learn, and I don't think I realized that like as much like I didn't realize that much goes into wrestling training and becoming a wrestler and getting to that level of being able to go out and put on a match. Like that was crazy to me for sure.
What was there a level of intimidation? Were you kind of overwhelmed, or was it kind of one of those things where as soon as you started training, you were like, this just felt right. This is what I was waiting for. And I don't care how much hard work I need to do, nothing's stopping me.
100%. Like I said, I went in and I thought I was going to be like some freak athlete. I was going to be able to do all this crazy stuff. And that I came in and that obviously wasn't the case. And then I was like, this is like a huge obstacle. This is like, I'm going to have to work for this. I'm not just going to be able to come in here and go put on a match. I'm not going to be able to just start going and wrestling. I saw it as something to work up to. Like I saw like I went and helped out at shows, and I would see the people that I'm in there training with, like doing matches, and that was just awesome to me because that really inspired me. Like at the time when I first started, um, like a few weeks after I started, I remember that was the debut of Dem Dogs, Happy G and Izzy Dubs. And so that was like very inspirational for me, like just seeing like two people that like I was in there training with like every week going and putting on a match. So I definitely saw like the training as something very, very difficult and something that I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to do. To be honest, I didn't really think I was going to ever debut. I didn't think I had what it took after like seeing everything that goes into it. But yeah, I would say that there was definitely a goal and there was working towards it, but everybody in there just absolutely inspired me all the time.
I have to imagine that your family was a big like source of motivation for you as well. Like you said, your brothers weren't letting you back away. I go to shows now and I see members of your family, and they're some of your biggest fans. Like, how much did it help to have a family that didn't tell you no, don't do wrestling, but actually helped you embrace it, helped you stay motivated, and pushed you through the tough times?
That really, really helped because I'm going to be honest, like in training, there are so many times where like I couldn't get something or I wasn't able to do something the way that I wanted to do it. And I would go home and I'd be like, yep, I'm done. I'm done wrestling. I'm the worst wrestler ever. I don't know what I'm doing.
No, no, no.
And like I would go to my mom or my brother or whatever and be like, yeah, I'm done with wrestling. Like I've probably said that I'm quitting wrestling so many times simply because like I didn't think I had what it took with like that self-doubt and stuff like that. But I have like my family and my friends and like all these great support systems that wouldn't let me quit.
So then you're going through training, even with a little bit of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the feeling when you get told that you're gonna be in a match. Like when you, because you're training, you're putting all of the pieces together, the physical, the mental, the how, the why, but eventually you're told, okay, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this in a match. You're gonna do this in real time. You're gonna do this in front of people. How do you feel about that? How is the lead up to it? Like, what's going through your mind?
Um, I think I heard that I was going to have like my debut match like a month or two before. So when I heard that, I was ecstatic. I was like so happy. I was so excited. And then as it got closer and closer, I got more and more terrified. And I remember like the week before, like the entire week, I just had this feeling in my stomach. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like I remember talking to my mom and I remember talking to my brother and stuff like that. And I was like, do you think it's too late to quit? Do you think it's too late to not do this? Like I was just absolutely terrified and I just got more and more scared. I didn't think I could get more scared, and then I would get more scared as it got closer and closer. But I was in there training as hard as I possibly could. I was doing everything that I could to prepare, and then the day came, and I was probably the most scared that I've ever been in my entire life. I
Mm-hmm.
remember like people in the locker room are like coming up to me because they can tell that I'm like terrified, trying to like cheer me up, make me feel better, make me laugh or something like that. Um, but yeah, I had my debut match against my trainer, Jeff Black, and it was a great experience. Like it was so much fun and it was just awesome. And all that self doubt that I had, it kind of like put it at ease a little bit. I was like, okay, maybe I can do this because all throughout training, I wasn't sure if I could. I was like, I can do these drills and I can get the basics and stuff like that down, but do I really have what it takes to go out and wrestle a match in front of a crowd? I wasn't so sure. To be honest, I didn't think I did have what it takes. I didn't think I'd ever be able to actually have a debut. So to be able to go out and do that, it really did, calm some nerves and kind of put some worries to the side for sure.
So you do the match, you finish. Was there kind of like a feeling of, oh, this wasn't as bad as it was? My biggest enemy was myself because I was blowing this up in my mind so great. But when you did it, it was like, okay, it really is what I've been training for and it's not that bad. And then kind of what was the feedback? Not from just yourself, but your opponent, the locker room, maybe fans or family that were in the audience. Like, how did was there like a feeling of elation and relief when you were done?
100%. Like I got back there and I was so happy. Like even now, like I get myself so worked up before matches and I get so freaked out, and then afterwards I get to the back and I get to laugh about it afterwards and go, what was I so worried about? What was I so scared about? Um, some feedback that I had for myself and that my opponent had for me was that like my first match, I went out there, I was stone faced, I was so scared, I didn't say a word, I didn't say anything to the crowd, I just walked out to the ring, got in the ring, did my match, and that was it. And so I kind of left out that whole crowd interaction, that storytelling, all that sort of stuff. That stuff didn't come until way, way later. And so that was the kind of feedback that I had, like, be vocal out there, talk to the crowd, talk to your opponent, stuff like that. And I didn't, that took me a while to get, to be honest. Like a lot of matches went on where I was completely silent, where I wasn't really doing anything. I was just going through the motions. So that was a big thing for me because, you can do the training and stuff, but it's a whole different thing when you're out there in front of a live crowd having an actual match like that's completely different.
Yeah, so the growth has been phenomenal because even just thinking back to the last time I saw you, you were in front of a crowd, you were a heel, you were jawing at everybody, and you were taking it in. It was almost like you were feeding off of it. So clearly you've gotten past that. Talk to me a little bit about some of the highlights of your career thus far, some of the matches that you had, maybe some of the fan interactions. Like, what are some of the coolest things that have happened in your wrestling journey so far?
I would say probably there's so many things that like I can sit now and be like that was awesome. Like I'm so glad that I started wrestling and stuff like that. I would say that like one of the earliest highlights that I have is at KW Oktoberfest in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 3 or 4 matches down. Like I was the newest ever. And I remember Jeff came up to me and like I already had my match and Jeff comes up to me and he's like, "Do you want to do the main event?" And well, the answer in my head was no, that's terrifying, but I yes. um and so that was the first ever time that I got to wrestle Daddy Davis. And that
Mm-hmm.
was like an awesome experience for me. And that like those first few matches, like I said, I was going out there, I was just doing the motions, I wasn't reacting, I wasn't talking to the crowd, anything like that. So there was that self-doubt kind of creeping back in, and that match I think really put some of that to rest. Like that once again relit the spark times 10. Like that match made me fall in love with wrestling. That was just awesome for me. That was a great experience. I remember coming back and people were saying that was like great. And like, so that, like, I was just so happy. And another big thing for me is being able to wrestle at the Kitchener Auditorium. That's another
Mm-hmm.
huge thing for me. Um, like growing up from Kitchener, like the odds, like the coolest thing ever. Like you go to the Rangers games, you go to the WWE house shows there, like all the cool stuff goes to the odd. And so now like going and wrestling at the odd was absolutely crazy for me. I remember being terrified and I remember going out there having so much fun and I remember being so happy afterwards that I like made that memory and I got to wrestle there because like everything happened at the odd. Like I went there to see so many shows, to see so many games. Like the odd was like that's like the place in Kitchener, right? So that was huge for me.
Failing to mention that if it's the show that I'm thinking about, there's quite a few people there too.
Yes, 700 people, 700 plus people, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that very far into their career hope to wrestle in front of such a crowd, and you got to do it so early in your career. I mean, relatively speaking, just the first couple of years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't imagine that the nerves weren't there when you saw that crowd.
Oh, 100%. I remember seeing the crowd kind of filling up before my match and I was terrified and I remember standing by the curtain and then I was even more scared and I remember seeing my opponent warming up and then I'm even like I'm just terrified and I go through and I yeah, it was scary. It like walking out there and seeing that many people like it took me a second to kind of, go into my character, like I was definitely pretty scared for a few seconds there.
So one other highlight that I'd like to ask you about is championship gold. All right. I'm not sure exactly how many belts you've lifted, but I know I was in the audience for you winning the Death Proof Tag Team Championships recently in
Yes.
a fantastic tables match. What does it feel like getting to lift gold and knowing that a company is relying on you to carry the belt and be the face of the company to a certain extent? Like that's got to be a fantastic feeling.
It's awesome. Like for me, that's something like I've always kind of doubted myself, and I've kind of been like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be a wrestler. So for like any company, anyone to trust me enough to put a belt on me, put a championship on me, that's crazy to me. Like I never thought I would ever see that happen. So yeah, like the winning the Death Proof Tag Team titles with Izzy Dubs, that was great. Like that was crazy, and I was so happy, and like that was an amazing moment. Like just being handed these belts, and like that's something that I'll never forget. Like that's something that is so cool to me because that's what I wanted as a kid. Like I wanted to be a champion. I wanted to have a belt. I wanted to be able to raise it up over my head. And so like that's something that yeah, like I will never forget that moment. That is something that is so cool to me.
Yeah, it's a type of energy that I don't think can be replicated because even being in the audience that night, like I was so happy for you. Like it's something that the entire room can feel. But I do want to ask you, you mentioned you were, it's not something you thought about when you were a kid. Did you ever think about who you wanted to be as a wrestler when you were a kid? Because I've seen you as a face, I've seen you as a heel bossing Bruce around, I've seen you maybe making some not so nice comments about female wrestlers recently, but I mean, like, these are all different types of characters. Did you ever have an idea of like, hey, when I grow up or when I get in the ring, like, this is the image of myself that I want to put forward? Or was it more just like, whatever comes? I'm just going to roll with it. I'm good with, whatever they want me to do, I will play that part.
Honestly, I wasn't sure for a very long time. Like I wasn't really sure what kind of role I'd be able to fit. I know that when I got a little bit older, I really wanted to be a heel. Like I when I was like early teens and I was thinking about being a wrestler, that's what I imagined myself being. I imagined being a heel. I imagined cutting promos. I imagined getting booed. That's what I thought of. But now when I think about it, I want to be whatever any show needs me to be. That's my goal. Like my goal is to be able to go anywhere on a card, be able to do anything. That's what I really want. I want to be able to do like a singles match in the opener or a tag match or anything anywhere on the card. I want to be able to do like, comedy. I want to be able to do gimmick. I want to be face, heel. I want to be able to do everything. That's my goal for sure.
Yeah, take the RKO in one match and cash in on the other. All right. So I love it. Talk to me a little bit. You mentioned goals. Like, what are some of your goals moving forward? More immediate. Just is there any other opponents that you would love to get in the ring with? Is there any other cities you'd like to travel? Because I know you've been hitting a little bit of the States recently as well. Is there any just kind of things that you'd like to cross off the bucket list?
Absolutely. For me, like my big thing is I just want to wrestle as much as I can. I want to wrestle anyone and everyone. Like thinking of dream opponents, like I want to wrestle everyone. Like Ontario is so full of talent. Like off the ropes is so full of talent. Like I want to wrestle everybody. Like I want to have singles matches. I want to have tag matches. I want to do all that stuff. Something bucket list for me is definitely just kind of like getting into more places, like going to new places, going to new cities. Like you said, like Izzy and I went to Buffalo recently, like getting into the States. That's something that's awesome. And I would love to do. I would love to get into like other provinces and stuff like that. Like just getting out and wrestling. That's definitely my goal. Getting out and wrestling as much as humanly possible.
All right, I want to let you off that easy because I'm a firm believer in putting things out in the universe. So give me some of the names of the Ontario indie scene that are floating around that you would just love to get in the ring with. Let's will it into existence.
Um, I can tell you that I've had a few like multi-person matches with Clash Kincaid, and
Hmm.
like those have always been so fun, but I've never had a singles match with him. That's like a name that really stands out to me that I'd really love to wrestle, like in a singles match. Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. There's so many
Yeah, I said
wrestlers.
I was putting you on the spot. I'm not letting you off that easy.
um, Obviously, like I would love to wrestle Jay Blast. He's great.
Oh,
I'd love to wrestle him. I think that would be so.
oh, that would be a good one. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it. You two would tear it up. All right, well let's hope that that happens.
Yeah,
Give me one. Give me one more. Give me one more.
I'm gonna give you one from the school actually, from off the
Okay.
ropes. I'd love to wrestle Violet Overkill.
Really?
Yeah, I think that would be good. I think that would be really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not expect that. All right, so forget the school, forget the local Ontario indie scene. Who's the dream opponent? Anybody in the world lacing up their boots. I could sign a magic contract and tell you you are wrestling this person tomorrow. Who would it be and why?
That's a tough one. I would say Dolph Ziggler, to be honest with you. Um,
Wow.
I think yeah, Dolph's because he all throughout my time as a wrestling fan, he has been present and he has been like a standout on every show that I've seen. I remember the Survivor Series match where he outlasted everyone. That was so cool to me when I was younger. But he's just amazing. Like everything he does, like I watch his matches all the time, and he's definitely. I think I would say that he's my favorite wrestler because everything that he does just looks amazing, and he puts his all into every single match that I've seen. Yeah, like I feel like that would be so much fun, and that would be such an honor to wrestle someone like that.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I feel like perhaps you guys might share a similar work ethic because that guy, like, he laces up his boots, he puts on work. And every time I see you, you are bringing like you're bringing your all to it. Yeah, those are some fantastic matches. Let's hope that that happens. So the last thing I want to ask you is just about some of the veteran leadership that you've gotten to partake in. You know, you've gotten into the ring with guys like Jeff Black, and I mean, you've wrestled Daddy Davis. I think I've seen you wrestle him half a dozen times, but not just who you've gotten in the ring with. You've shared a locker room. You know, like talking Savio Vega, Jay Lethal, like what is it like getting to just absorb and be in the presence of these people? How much does that help your game?
It's great. Like just being able to hear what people like that think, like it's great. Just to ask people for advice and get some tips and stuff like that. That's awesome. Like I remember at the odd, besides being terrified, I remember I shared the locker room with like Jay Lethal and Savio Vega. They were in the same one as me and stuff. And just being able to talk to them, that was awesome. And it felt honestly surreal being able to talk to these wrestling legends. And yeah, like just being able to, I think the big thing for me is being able to get advice because I want to know how I did. I want to know it, like, I want to know how it is. Not like I don't want people to sugarcoat it. I want people to tell me what looked good, what looked bad, what to keep, what to get rid of. I want to know all that stuff. And so anybody that can tell me that and tell me how my match was or whatever and say it how it is, then that's great. And I've had a lot of people that have been able to help me. And I feel like I've grown a lot because of people's feedback. So anybody that is kind enough and willing to give up some of their time to give me some feedback and tell me what they thought, then like that's so valuable to me.
Okay, so a lot of talk about feedback and you getting it. I'd like to give you an opportunity to give some feedback or some advice. I ask everybody the same question before calling it a day. If you could give one piece of advice to a younger version of yourself or somebody else out on the street who is, you know, maybe even in the same situation as you, like, do I, don't I go to the school? What's like the one piece of advice that would just make that whole thing a little bit easier? Not necessarily easy, but easier.
Honestly, like I kind of like wrestled with self-doubt for so long with whether or not I should do it, whether or not I have what it takes. I would just tell myself not to listen to it and do it like earlier. Like Off the Ropes has kids classes. Like I could have been in there training like way earlier than I was, and I feel like that's just amazing. Like Like I know like Orange Julius, he's in there doing amazing stuff and he's 14 years old. And that's just crazy to me. Like sometimes I think like I could have been way younger doing this and I probably like would be at a completely different level right now. So like definitely just just do it. That's my advice for myself. Just do it and don't look back and don't doubt yourself. You know, even when you can't do something, don't worry about it. You'll get it eventually.
I find it ironic that you say that despite the fact that you yourself are still a very young man. Thank you so much for doing this. Before we sign out, can you just let people know once again who you are and maybe where they can follow you online?
Absolutely. My name is Jake Constant. You can follow me on Instagram at Kickstart Constant.
All right. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to Independent Wrestling Profiles. Please help out the show if you can with a like, subscription, or review. We'll see you next time.
This program is a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.